Real Madrid knock out Manchester City again for the fourth time in the last five knockout rounds, and PSG complete their revenge on my boys Chelsea here. Welcome back to another episode of Ball IQ Podcast. Tolu, a very satisfied Real Madrid fan, and
I'm Nelson. I am a always a Chelsea fan, but there's no satisfaction here.
yeah, your coach has been under fire for couple of weeks now. In some way, I understand obviously why, because of the nature of the job and the results. But in some cases, I'm like, dang, like I don't think his squad is good enough. But I know you have a lot to say about it, and we'll get to it. Um, but I wanted us to quickly go into the second leg of the Real Madrid game, versus City, and same thing that both teams did. Real Madrid playing a 4-4-2 with Rudiger and Huijsen in the back. Fran Garcia came in for Felamendi. Felamendi came in, locked up Semenyo and got injured and he's out again. That guy's an
Mm,
enigma. An enigma. But Trent, right back, Valverde was playing right midfield and the midfield two of Thiago Pitache and Tchouaméni. Arda played left mid, Vini, Brahim up top. And again, Vini is going to be higher up top, of course. Brahim operating kind of like freely, but more often than not on the right attack. Pitash joining wherever he can, but Valverde, instead of staying out wide, was more inverted here. He had an early chance that Vini played him in that he didn't convert. Trent high, back to Arda, midfield, inside left, and Fran Garcia out wide. The change that City made, the main change was something that I think we spoke about, which is playing Semenyo in that, inside, right beside Erling Haaland. And what he did was he played Shirky, who I thought should have played alongside Haaland, just in behind. And on paper, Bernardo was a part of a midfield three, but really he was coming to provide the width before he was sent off and leaving just Rodri and Tijani Reinders in midfield. Dorgu was, trying to hurt Trent, but Real Madrid did a great job either with Valverde or Pitash or sometimes Tchouaméni or sometimes even Brahim coming to attack and I mean coming to help out Trent. But the plan was simple, plan was the same from Real Madrid. City would, stay with a back three two, this time two for the most part. And try and like because go for it and Real Madrid would sit, soak up pressure. um, Vini would be out. He has the outlet. He would get the ball, bring out everyone. Or sometimes Arda, who had I thought a great game, would either find him in 1v1 spaces. Pitacha finding 1v1 spaces. Anybody, any of the midfield, even Brahim will find him in 1v1 spaces and he will exploit. Um, Again, City, the game kind of went away. I mean, it felt like the game went away when Bernardo Silva got sent off, but they started playing. They're trying to play like Real Madrid essentially, where they'll give Real Madrid the ball, sit compact in the back like four, sometimes five, and then break out, providing with the fullback and Dorgu, and then Aït-Nouri will come in the midfield and try and like overload and create chances, which they did. Lunin and Courtois made some great saves, but ultimately it wasn't enough. Real Madrid held out. Vini missed a lot of chances. It could have been ugly, but he was wasteful. But he did get his second goal, did his celebration, did his clap back, uh, did the crying celebration, and people were obviously complaining about that again. And I'm like, okay, when they were mocking him before, it was fine. He's having a little fun back now. All of a sudden, it's a problem. I feel like, I mean, goalkeepers and fans are overly protected these days. But
Mhm.
thoughts on the game? I know you had your eye on PSG as well, but thoughts on the game?
Yeah, no, it just seemed like they are a club that is in slightly better form than Manchester City, very clearly. Um, in terms of their quality of play and the impact of Bernardo Silva being, being sent off, I think that it's hard to look at this game without that through that lens. But ultimately, I think this is the third. I think it's the third time that City has come against Real Madrid in what, in 3 years?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and this is the third time you guys have sent them packing. So um, definitely a club, always was a club that Pep Guardiola has had some difficulty with mastering, and most specifically in the Champions League, it seems to be the truth. You can never count Real Madrid out. This is their tournament, even though they haven't been in the best of form this season. But it just seemed like a team that ultimately is in a little bit more sure of their identity. Whereas City, even with all the transfers and uh, the amount of stability that they do have their club with some players that have been there for some time,
Mm.
it's still a transition season. Same as Real Madrid, but I still think that they've got a lot of work to do, and before they're at the pinnacle of where we're typically used to seeing them.
Yeah. 100% agree. 100% agree. I wanted to say three things before we move on to Chelsea. Number one, I remember telling you, and it's on wax. It's one of the episodes that the episode after Xabi Alonso got sacked, I believe, saying that Arbeloa might actually be better for Real Madrid because he's been in the system and he knows how to, like, he knows the Real Madrid way versus somebody coming in, and he's kind of proven it. He knocked out Mourinho's team and Guardiola's team while beating them home and away. I think that there's something to say to that. Second thing I was going to say was what made this win even more impressive was the injuries that we had. Mbappe didn't play like a game and a half of the two games. No Jude, no Rodrigo, no Eder Militao, and in this game, no Ferland Mendy. Those five would play if they're fit. I'm not even talking about Danny Ceballos or Alaba or Alexis Carreras. Alexis Carreras is another one. Those six would play. So the amount of injuries versus this City side, which is even though they're on form, we're at full force apart from maybe John Stones, maybe, and who else? We're at full force is very impressive. And the last piece. You know where I'm going with this, right? Mbappe, right?
Mm,
Mbappe comes in for Brahim. Mbappe did not make one line breaking run. Not one.
mm,
Not one. Vini's last goal, where um I think I believe it was I don't know whether it was Trent and Tchouaméni, if memory serves me correctly. They were on this side. I think there was a cross from Valverde. Valverde, I think, was here. And like no, it wasn't Trent. It was Danny Carvajal was in the game, and Mbappe and Vini make made runs, right? And then Mbappe stops. He was with Vini. Mbappe stops right at the box, and immediately Carvajal plays the ball to Tchouaméni. Tchouaméni already looked into the box and saw Vini in there, and he plays it a sweet one-time ball in, and Vini, as Mbappe was, I mean, as Tchouaméni was swinging his foot, Vini already made the run to finish, right? And throughout that game, I'm like, Vini, Mbappe is a better finisher than Vini. Mbappe is a better player than Vini. But Mbappe doesn't do things to show his talent. Because if Mbappe got the opportunities Vini got, we would have won that game 5-1.
mm.
But Mbappe will not get the chances that Vini got because Mbappe will not make those runs. And we've been saying this on the channel, you and and I am glad that it's becoming more public knowledge because it's been driving me insane for months. Driving me insane for months. This is a city side. They're down a man. You come on, like, why you wouldn't make a run? One run is just at this point, I'm like, okay, there's no way you don't know this. This has to be deliberate. It just has to be. But I just wanted to say that piece. It was interesting. I'll send you some clips on Vini's movement versus Mbappe's movement after the episode. But yeah.
In
Um,
terms of Vinny, because I know you mentioned just kind of the negativity surrounding his jubilation, his joy, and his skill. I think as a third party, just objective third party,
mhm.
he's ridiculously talented. Nobody would ever deny him that.
Yeah.
I think though, and I do think he has been racially profiled and discriminated time and time again. And I don't think that's right. I do think removing that from the situation completely, he can make it with all those celebrations hard to like. To like him. He's not the mo like if he's on your team, he's the type of player, and there are these types of players in football, as everybody knows, where if he's on your team, I mean Diego Costa comes to mind for one, but just anybody, Cristiano Ronaldo, if he's on your team, you love that player. But if you're going against them, or he's on your rival team, or he's in the way of your club succeeding, just the way that he like you don't have to you don't have to do that on my head. Like, you don't need to, there's that part of it. As a fan of the club and of Vinny, of course you're I mean, you're doing this in your couch. But it is, I do I don't want this to be taken out of
No,
context.
I understand.
And anybody think that I'm saying you should just shut up and dribble. I'm far from it. But I do think he has a personality where I just think as a fellow man of color, I would be upset. I would not like the guy. And
No.
that's something that when it comes to Ballon d'Or and vote, because it's a voting type of thing
Mhm.
that sometimes, I mean, it's based off of merit, but it's also there's campaigns. You look at
Yeah.
players that have finished in higher than the voting than they really should have. That's
Yeah.
largely due to the publicity around the player. And
Yeah.
I think Vinny would have a Ballon d'Or if he may I
It
don't
was
know,
more political, essentially.
humility, just a little bit more humble, And I know probably he's a very humble man, player. And I don't think he doesn't have humble beginnings or anything like that. But on the pitch, his personality is, it kind of is one that riles up the opponents.
Your opponent. I completely understand what you're saying. I think that I think that as a third party, it's very um, difficult to understand him, or like if like you said, if he goes, he's one of those players where if he's not on your team, you don't like him. I'm fine with that because again, like you mentioned, I mean, I watch Cristiano in my club as well. There's some players that just have that fire in them where that's what keeps them going. And if you don't like them for that, that's fine. Obviously, like we both said and agreed, as far as it doesn't cross the line. I personally don't see, using the City, for example, an issue with his reaction because this is not the first time he's played against City at City. And this is not the first time he has scored against City at City.
Mhm.
But this is the he's his reaction, he's an emotional guy, and that sometimes, like, obviously, some of his teammates are always like pulling him, like, get it together kind of thing. So the emotional state of him sometimes has his bad moments for sure. But using this um example of the City game, last time he was there, they put a banner mocking him, and that was the beginning of his I guess.
What was the banner in reference to? Was it in regards to the Ballon d'Or?
Yes. So when they
Uh,
came, they put "Cry Your Heart Out" and put a picture of Rodri and said "Cry Your
yeah.
Heart Out," and it was like
Yeah.
at him, and that is when he started showing himself. He won the man of the match that game, man of the match this game
Yeah.
as well. So like usually, even you see like clips of him, going back and forth with somebody. Vinny, again, call me biased, I'm a Real Madrid fan, but he never starts it. Like his emotion, obviously, he will try and get a foul here or try and dive here. But in terms of like personal beef, he never starts a personal beef. Like, for example, City is not the only big team, right, that he's faced, of course. Barcelona, obviously, is like the person he goes against the most that was, if it became a head-to-head, was him and Araujo, the
Mhm.
defender, right? They go at each other all the time. At the end of the game, they dap each other up because I think he's just from a school of thought where if you give me, I'm gonna give you back his bants, and it stops there. As far as you don't racially abuse me, I will
Mhm.
bant back. And I think that should be allowed. I think that if we don't allow that in the game, I think we will be robbing the game of great personalities and great, stories like this, personally.
Yeah. I think celebrations are a part of football. It's when celebrations are pointed or they like reference, when they feel like you've gone out of your way to personalize your
Yeah.
jubilation. That's when I take umbrage. I take exception. I think that's just the human nature. It doesn't matter what sport you're playing. If you're going to, you see it a lot in college football and in the NBA. If you celebrate on the emblem or whatever on the ground, if you people take that as disrespect, that type of thing. So there's like, and I do think he doesn't start these beefs, but in his celebration, I think because it's so outspoken, flamboyant, and so like just um in that moment, he doesn't care about really anything. He's just expressing himself, regardless of who he offends or whatever. I think players, fans, and in the footballing world as a whole kind of remember that. And I think that whole, like, I was sad to see Vinicius not win the Ballon d'Or that year. I didn't mock him for crying or anything like that, but I think a lot of uh, I think the larger footballing world, kind of see his behavior and how much he's like that celebration, like celebratory, and usually at somebody's expense. It's not just like sometimes, not all the time. I think that might be kind of why he doesn't get the flowers that he deserves universally. I
Yeah.
think people think he's fantastic, but they don't love him like he really should be, like a Ronaldinho, or like one of those players who a talent that kind of stops the world a bit.
Yeah, I mean, again, I hear you and I agree with you. I just think that I'll give you another example. I think again in this part, obviously I'm a Real Madrid fan, so I have a respectful hate for Barcelona and their best players. Like when Rafinha or specifically Lamine Yamal, he's also has that personality where, for example, against Newcastle, he got some flack in the home leg where he didn't play particularly well, but he scored a penalty he didn't win and did, this celebration, or when he's playing against Real
Yeah.
Madrid, he does those things. I don't take offense. I'm like, for me, my opinion is like to the victor goes the spoils. As far as you don't like you know, cross a line essentially. But we gave you some crap and we you give it back because you came out on top. I never had a problem with it especially when it's done against me. So
Yeah.
you mentioned like Diego Costa. Like I never. He played for Atletico Madrid. He didn't rob me. Obviously, he's annoying to play against, but he never like. I never like took his celebration, his antics any type of way. Same reason why people didn't like Neymar. I mean, I've always loved Neymar. Neymar is
Mhm.
the same way. Like Cristiano, of course, is the same way. So I agree with you in terms of like if these people played the image game better, they'll be more received. But
That's kind of
honestly,
part of being great. You kind
yeah,
of have to be, you have to back yourself unilaterally like that to the point of almost insanity. Like,
yeah,
in order to pull off what Vinny pulls off, he has to believe he's
him.
phenomenon, and he is. And
Yeah,
you know that, and if he celebrates after pulling off what he planned on and knows he backs himself to do, yeah, of course you're going to celebrate the way you like, and you know.
yeah.
I get it. I think it's a touchy subject because of the racial discrimination that he's received, and that's just completely off limit. Um, but
I
he's
would,
also not like a choir. He's not a church
no,
boy
no, it's
who's
not.
not. He's not like, what do you mean? Why are y'all yelling at me? Which is
No,
sometimes how I sometimes think he can feel like he feels, but
no.
not. You know.
I don't. I think that's the. I've seen that narrative before. I think the only time we've come out and hear Vinny talk about how he's treated is racially. Vinny goes to every stadium and gets booed in La Liga. Every single stadium. And he doesn't complain. He complained about Valencia because they're racist towards him. And
Mhm.
obviously, more recently, the Benfica player. But like, Vinny gets booed away all the time. And again, this Manchester City example he would not have any reason to do this again. This is not the first time he's playing Manchester. Like we've mentioned, we've knocked them out three out of the three times in the last 3 years, four of the last five ties. This is not the first time. This is not the first game against City. So the only reason why he's celebrating this way is because he felt like y'all dissed me, y'all mocked me, let me mock you back. And I think that it then feeds into that narrative of, oh, if you criticize him now, he cries. I'm like, he never cries when you criticize. It's when he feels like racially abused. That's when he gets emotional. But ultimately, I understand what you're saying. Ultimately, you're saying like, like he's not the most likable person because of, of um how he carries grudges, let's put it that way.
Mhm.
he, and he shows off his skill and his when he gets his revenge, he makes it known that
Right.
you know what. So I understand that, and I actually, again, I understand when people don't like somebody because of something. I think that's normal. I think the and I don't want us to like hop on this. The last example I was going to give is like a Russell Westbrook in basketball, where he's like,
Mhm.
taunting. Some people don't like it. Me, if you
Right.
take, huh?
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's a good
like
example.
some people don't like it, and it feels like, some people take that personally or, get irritated by it. And I mean, they have the right to feel the way they do. But me personally, like when somebody does that to my team, if they won the game, I'm like, hey man, to the victor goes to spoil. Maybe that's how I am. Because I'm like, if just make sure I don't win. Because if I win and you're talking this to me, if you win and you talk smack to me, fair play. Zlatan is another one. When you talk smack to me, fair play. But if I win, I'm talking smack back. And you better don't
Right.
complain. Don't complain.
Absolutely. No,
So
yeah,
yeah.
he usually gets the last laugh.
Yeah.
Vinny typically does.
Yeah, it typically does. I mean, again, it's it must not be easy. Like, I mean, he seems to enjoy that villain role, and we need that in the game. We need some people to hate on. You think I don't look at Yamal, and I'm like, God dang it! Like I hate this guy. Respectful hate, of
Hmm.
course, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, this guy's a wonderful player, man. Like,
Right.
yeah, but anyway, but yeah, um, but Chelsea, um, I didn't focus on the game as much as I did the first leg. But I did see the goals. I thought Barcolo's goal was fantastic. Mayulu's goal was fantastic as well. Um, Obviously not your strongest lineup, especially defensively. No Reese, especially Sa Champions League debut. Same thing with Jorgensen last year, last first leg. Um, I just feel like that game, the two ties just really showed that maybe you can talk about the coaching, but really the squad is not strong enough to compete.
Yeah, no, I mean the tie was not flattering at all. I think if you were to look at some of the statistics, you would say that we were in it for longer than we really were, but
Mhm.
ultimately the game was decided in the last 15 minutes of the first leg and the first 15 minutes of the second leg. Uh, the the way that we played for the first 72 minutes in Paris um, was the way that I feel like we were capable of playing, save the goalkeeper, and to sort of watch the second leg kind of become a true resumption of the first leg. So it wasn't even like it felt like the game that I watched last week, and when it went left, that wasn't the end of that game. That period of it going
Just,
poorly
mhm.
just restarted immediately.
Mhm.
You know, in those first 15 minutes, whatever game plan, any sort of um, strategy or mentality that we were bringing into it was stripped away in the first 15 minutes when we went down 2-0. The lineup was concerning. Whenever you give a coach like Luis Enrique a week and tape to kind of review where there might have been some holes in the lineup. Um, it's never really going to go well. He's a very good coach. So and I think we saw that reflected in the starting lineup with Kvaratskhelia starting as opposed to being on the bench,
Mhm.
really becoming um, the focal point of their attack for the first 45 minutes,
Mhm.
um, and being able to convert and exploit Mamadou Sarr, who's obviously getting his first Champions League start under the bright lights on 9 p.m. local time game. Obviously, everything on the line. Um, I mean, Kavicha Kvaratskhelia is a wonderful winger. It was I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been an assist from the goalkeeper, but
Yeah.
ultimately they knew two things. One, Mamadou Sarr is new. He's young, he's green, and they also knew that Marc Cucurella is going to be playing an inverted wingback role and likely won't be at
Cover.
home.
Hmm.
So they play the long ball over the top. Mamadou Sarr takes the wrong position on the ball, and Kvaratskhelia gets a chance on a shot on goal, which should not happen. In my opinion, if you're a good center back, you can recover from that situation. You just took the wrong position, bad bounce, all of that. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. But what kind of upset me the most is last week we saw Jorgensen miss some very elementary saves. I feel like Sanchez had the luxury of watching the whole play. Um, unfold in front of him. Um, and I kind of felt like he was watching as opposed to reacting. He's like, oh
Reacting.
shit,
I
that's a hell of
know.
a ball. Oh shit, he beat my defender. Oh shit, he's in the box. And then by the time he actually reacted, it was like a hand length away, very savable shot, but goes in. Everybody rolls their eyes. Everybody is deflated.
Yeah.
Stamford Bridge is a raucous Parisian um, atmosphere at that point in time. Everybody's crestfallen. Um,
Mm.
yeah, that's goal number one. We're four goals down on the tie. Um, everybody looking up to the sky. Nobody really. I think
Nobody had
Enzo
the
might have.
answers, Sway.
Yeah, and I think Enzo was trying to get everybody
Mm.
locked in. I think Joao Pedro was also trying to get everybody locked in. But by and large, I think the vast majority of the players, as well as Liam Rosinha, were pretty gobsmacked at the first 7 minutes there. And we immediately started playing players up the pitch in hopes of trying to peg them back, get a goal back early. Obviously, I think PSG knew that we were going to do that. We were breaking on the ball on the second goal. We were in possession. I believe, I think it was Andre Santos he tried to play a pass. It bounced off of a PSG player. Immediately, they're on the counterattack. Um, Immediately, they're able to convert the second goal with essentially just a long run down the line. You cross it in. I mean,
Bang.
elementary football, really. Playing in triangles, that type of thing. Just very. If I learned anything about this tile, is just mistakes were made by youthful footballers who aren't really sure of their identity yet, and every mistake that was made was punished at the highest level. You paid the ultimate price, and that's the Champions League. Um, but all those silly mistakes were converted. They're gifts to a highly motivated PSG side.
Mm.
Um, I don't necessarily blame Liam Rowe Sr. I don't think he's qualified for this role. I think he was kind of thrown into it um, at the worst time possible, into a project that we've seen high points for, but as of right now, and when he came into the job, was not a high point for the project. And by that I mean, when I meant the project, I reference the time in which Blue Co. Acquired Chelsea and has now had ownership over it and their dealings. This is probably the lowest point outside of the Graham Potter April, March season.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
When we were
The
before,
one that
right
Lampard came back.
when Lampard came in, yeah. So that was I had no hope at that point. I have hope in the players. I do think we have a better side than we did then. Um, but in terms of our ability to compete at the highest level,
Mm.
and to achieve our ambitions as a club and what we're used to, um, I don't have confidence in this ownership. Um, I have a problem with um, the amount of value that's been placed on youth, as opposed to experience, the lack of recognition at the places in our squad that are deficient, and the categorical denial of paying players what they're owed at that position. By that I mean the goalkeeping position. There's been Donnarumma was on the market last summer. Mike Magnan was on the market last summer. We decided that was too rich for our blood, and we're literally imploding in every competition as a result of you know showing up to those competitions with a Mickey Mouse goalie. We have five, I think, goalies on our pay wages, and I don't think any of them um, are qualified to start for the club. And that is nothing more than an abject failure.
Yeah,
Um, so, I could wax poetic about this game, but honestly, after the first two or so goals, it was cooked. I think beginning of the second half, you know, PSG were just caretaking the game. They were just playing the game, making sure they didn't get hurt. As I said, they're very motivated by what happened last summer. So, they were kind of having fun with it. toying with us, knowing that we were a very impetuous team, likely to reward you if you goad us. We'll give, if you wind up Moises Caicedo or Enzo Fernandez or João Pedro, pretty much anybody in our starting 11, with the exception of Cole Palmer, you're going to get a response, and that player is probably going to get a card. So
Mm.
wasn't too much of that. There's a little bit of discipline on our end, but that's kind of how that second half went. And yeah, there's just this game, this tie emphasized the gulf in quality between a club with a good sporting director in Louis Campos and a good manager, not a head coach, in Luis Enrique. So they're both aligned. I think PSG has a chance to repeat. You'd have to fancy their chances after seeing how um, what they did to us.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really tough. Poor preparation as well. I don't think we came in mentally equipped for the game. I didn't look at the lineup and think, okay, I see two goals here, goal there. No Reese. I know last episode I mentioned how I was upset with the way that he performed. I still, we still need him more than anything to be out there, and the drop off is huge. Um, so another player that was, I think, Joel Hato had not a great game either. Just you're in over there's levels to this game, and they're not at that level right now. They're in over their head.
Yeah.
Um, I think the mentality was very poor after the Newcastle loss this weekend. Um, yeah, I mean, it was a really tough game to watch, really tough tie to watch go down. I looked at our score, and to your point, Cole Palmer's been ineffective. Esteval wasn't playing, and we look like, I mean, Esteval just got here, but I'm over here like, oh man, if we had him,
Yeah,
things would be different. Like
that's a bad sign.
it speaks to the poor construction of the squad. Anytime I see Liam Delap warming up, I'm not encouraged nor enthused. Um, and I mean, Fofana was dropped from this game. Um, Poor form. He's been in absolutely poor form. He's at fault of the
I don't.
goal.
I didn't agree with him being dropped, by the way. So
I mean, I think it's like I said, the alternative was nuts. Like starting Mamadou Sarr and Trevor Chalobah against Paris Saint-Germain is borderline insanity. And I get that, okay, you like, oh, Mamadou Sarr played for Strasbourg. He knows PSG. Maybe he can. No, he's in over his head under these lights. And yeah, like I said, Fofana's not been playing well. His mentality and his mindset, just the way that he's been approaching it, like he's not running when he needs to run
yeah,
fully. He's not selling out the way that he needs to for this team. And I think when a coach sees that, you have to drop them. If it's an effort thing, you're not running like and defending the way that you need to. No, you got to sit. So. Um,
mm,
Yeah, like I said, it was a really tough game to watch, and in terms of where we go from here, there's players that are referencing, there's 8 games left, and we'll see where your future is. I just have news for you. You're not going anywhere. Okay, you signed a deal, you signed a contract, and I don't think any of you guys have the flexibility or the shortness of your contract terms to be speaking to Fabrizio, Patrice, Bamba. I don't care who you're talking to. You're not going anywhere. Um, I don't know if you're watching this podcast, but I just want to let that be known.
Oh my God, that's funny. That's funny. Oh, Garnacho is probably one of them, but
I mean, in, I like. I think really, if you want to talk about it, it's Pedro Neto who might be on the chopping block. It's Enzo Fernandez who made the comments publicly, said, there's 8 games left, and then we'll see. Um, I my heart goes out to Enzo because he came in the January of that Grand Pato window, and I know he's seen
a lot of
Pepper. He's
yeah.
seen serious Pepper, and I get it, but now's not the time to be talking to Fabrizio. You just need to.
Yeah, especially as the vice captain. Isn't he the vice captain?
He's a vice captain.
Yeah.
And that doesn't. I mean, players of that quality, that ilk, in moments like this, obviously your agent's going to get calls and stuff like that. It doesn't matter who you are. We kept calling Steven Gerrard every year. Liverpool kept losing the title. We call, but it doesn't matter. Like it. What I'm here to say is, in that moment, yeah, um you shouldn't be releasing statements like that, like I'm available, that type of thing. But it's part of football.
Mm.
Um, I'm just saying, like I'm not sure Enzo's deal, but if I recall correctly, I think it's 2032, something like that.
Yeah, it's probably
So
2052.
yeah,
But
he's on 180. So
yeah, that's pretty decent piece. But in reference to the game, I mean, hit the nail on the head. I didn't pay attention to it, but I watched a bit and then I watched the highlights of it. And I mean, the things uh, out of all you said, the things that again spoke to me is number one, two of your back four is Hato and Mamadou Sa. It's like against the current Champions League champions. That's a lot to ask. Correa, to me, it doesn't look like he's fully fit yet, to be honest. It just
no,
he doesn't it looks like they rushed him back. I don't think he's all the way there yet. Um and
he's
again,
gassed. The whole squad is gassed
yeah.
as a result of the Club World Cup. It's and just to add, like. The French Football Federation is a joke. I just want to say that because what they did effectively for Paris Saint-Germain is cleared their weekends before both of these legs.
To be fair, it's not just them. I think every other league but the Prem do this for their clubs.
Okay. Well, then I retract my statement. The FA is a joke
The FA is
because
a joke.
they don't prioritize
Yeah.
player health, um, quality of football. Because there's been several times where a Premier League team has been in the thick of their competition, 3 or 4 different competitions, and they simply don't have the bandwidth to field a side that can deal with it. And everyone's like, "Oh, well, that's the Champions League." I'm like, wouldn't it be better for football if we didn't get to watch injuries occur on Wednesdays or just watch a team just completely capitulate like Aston Villa or Newcastle, not because
Yeah.
they in the Champions League, not because they aren't good. They just simply don't have the
Yeah.
funds to have the depth to fight on all campaigns. It's just kind of and the fact that it's not something that the entire footballing world does is just categorically unfair.
Yeah, it doesn't. The FA can schedule an English team to play on a Monday, knowing they have a Tuesday night Champions League game. They do
With
not
yeah,
care.
they don't give a damn. And um, yeah, we played Newcastle. That was a very important game. Like we're in the thick of our competition. And I think the week prior, I can't remember who we played the week prior. Oh, it might have been an FA Cup game. I think it might have been Wrexham. Played
Yes,
120
exactly.
minutes
Yep.
against Wrexham.
Yeah.
120 minutes. And that's our fault, you know, finish the drill against Wrexham. But they didn't play, is what I'm trying to say. I think they either played nobody or they just were on.
I'm not
Anyway,
sure. we can pull up their games, but um I think that again it's more of a they played Monaco on the 6th, then you on the 11th. Oh, they didn't play. You're right. They didn't play this week.
So you gave Luis Enrique and 11 of the current European champions a week off to review footage and just talk, gab, just chit chat about the game and
And
player.
you remember him being on a crane. He was probably on a
Yeah.
crane, like, and that's another
So,
thing I was gonna actually highlight that you said. Like, you don't give a team like that with a manager like that much time. They will pick you apart. That was another thing that you said that I wanted to highlight again, right? Because it's true.
yeah. I mean, we're running lean. We only have one way to win.
Yeah.
Um, and if you negate that way to win, the pass accuracy of our players goes down by 20. I mean, nope. When we have to start questioning what we're doing because you've neutered the way that we typically play. We like to play in the through the middle, and if you've now punished us for playing through the middle, because when we do that, you steal the ball, you counterattack on us, and we concede. But you've also pressed us off the ball, so we can't play it through the middle. You're pressing us it into we're not comfortable on our own ends. You're pressing us on our half of the field. So when you've negated our ability, our first and only a way to win, method that we know how to win, yeah, João Pedro is going to be starved. Cole Palmer is going to he's going to start spinning like a top. Pedro Neto is going to start running in a straight line. Cucurella is going to be exposed for being out of position because he's trying to do too much.
Hmm.
Um, it really just, it's like I
Domino.
was watching the game with my girlfriend. I watched both times with my girlfriend. She doesn't watch football with me. And unfortunately, those are the two games that she watched. And it was just a miserable experience, man. Like, it's tough. I do know that the sun always comes out, but and I do think we have the potential to get top five. But it depends on how English teams do in the competition and if that fifth spot in the EPL warrants a Champions League position.
Yeah, we'll see.
So we shall see.
We shall see. Um, Really speaking of English teams, Arsenal finished the job against Leverkusen. Again, they played a little better than we've seen them. Created chances. They scored a fantastic goal. So them and Liverpool, who destroyed Galatasaray today, would be representing England. Spain, Real Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico, who saw Spurs. Spurs they've looked better the last two games against Liverpool and Atletico, so maybe we'll see a turn for them. Obviously, Sporting is the story of the one of the stories of the tie overcoming a 3-0 deficit to win 5-0 at home on aggregate. It was I watched that game till full time, then caught the highlights of um of the extra time. I didn't see that coming. Bodo Glimt finally were exposed for being, not superior, not up to like the
Sorry.
level, but they had a good run. Unfortunately that they got like BTA, but it's the Champions League, baby. And Barcelona, like speaking of BTA, destroyed Newcastle. Um, Rafinha was ridiculous per usual. I mean, Yamal too was pretty good, but like, Rafinha again just starting the season with an injury, but now he's like back fit and he's like keeping Marcus Rashford on the bench because he's that good. Scored another two goals today, a couple of assists following his hat trick over the weekend. Bayern just just continue to put their foot on Atalanta's neck. 10-1 on aggregate. They won 4-1. And yeah, so Bayern versus I mean, there's PSG Liverpool, which is another replay of last year. I think PSG knocked out Liverpool on penalties last year on their way to the title. Bayern Madrid, last time we faced them, we beat them the Joselu game and then went on to win the Champions League. So Bayern obviously probably this in results wise the strongest team left. And of course it's Madrid, so it will be a great tie to see. And Barcelona Atletico will also be interesting because Atletico knocked them out of the Copa. Atletico like play the exact opposite of how Barcelona play, so it'll be interesting to see. Then Arsenal Sporting, that Arsenal should see them also, but we'll see. Time will tell. I really before we go to like goal of the week, player of the week, and close the show. Breaking news: CAF announced that you know essentially giving Morocco the title and punishing Senegal for walking off and giving Morocco a forfeit win, 3-0 win, citing Article 82 and 84. Speaking of like, Senegal left um, the grounds, I think it said, and I saw an interesting take on it about like, okay, they left the pitch, but they didn't leave the ground. So it's really like, it's really debatable in terms of like, how good your lawyer is essentially. So I expect Senegal to respond or to appeal and for them to win the appeal. Um, but again, I think we both agreed on that day. Senegal sh were wrong for leaving the pitch. They shouldn't have left the pitch. I understood why their field slided against and all that stuff. Like I understood, the Towergate stuff and the disallowed goal shortly before was wrong and so on and so forth, but they shouldn't have left the pitch. Um, so I understand it, like, the legality of it and how, like, they were more going to the whole legality of it, I understand. But it just feels like a very unfootball-like decision. Like it just, I don't know. I can see both sides to it, but I'm leaning towards Senegal, of course. I don't know what you think.
I mean, it's corruption, and it's just what it is. There's been murmurs of Moroccan corruption, um, for a couple of tournaments now. I didn't really look at them or give them much credibility, but when there's smoke, there's fire, and lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place. Those sayings exist for a reason. And I think Morocco hosted this tournament. I think I don't know in terms of GDP or how much money each federation has, but I would I think Morocco used their resources as much as they have to, build this case, go to CAF with it, and appeal to try and get the results overturned, as if this would feel like a victory, which is
Yeah,
a little bit questionable to me. Like, I don't think any of these players are going to. I don't
celebrate.
think Brahim Diaz. We all saw that, bro. Like, you can do whatever you want. The monkey's out of the bottle. We watched that happen. Everybody saw it happen. Um, and yeah, like it was a good tie for a number of reasons. That part of the game where they walked off was, like I said, and like you said at the time, it was obviously kind of put the game in disrepute, the game of football in general. I feel like because when if people are going to be walking off and stuff like that, like there's been so many times the Chelsea versus Barcelona, like we should have walked off. We should have walked off. Um, my girlfriend and I are going to Europe next month. We're thinking about going to Norway. I still remember that referee's name.
You might
That's
want
how
to,
mad I am.
yeah, you want to pay him a visit?
I mean, he's a psychologist, I think now, but
Oh my God, please stop. Just don't say
I
anymore.
think that was robbery of the highest order.
Oh my God,
And
Chelsea, you won't finish me on this podcast. You will not finish me.
it was robbery of the highest order, and we didn't walk off the pitch. You know, I had to hold that, as a
Yeah.
fan. I had to hold that and wait 3 more years until we had another chance. Um, so, walking off is never an option.
Mm.
But I do think there's something to be said about blocking corruption and the type of how they were moving at that tournament. They were moving mad.
Yeah, they're moving
Um,
insane.
they were talented, but they were trying to manipulate and will the trophy to them instead of earning it.
Now, pause. You mentioned Chelsea, right? As an example, and
Mhm.
this last statement you just made, what does it remind you of? What football club does it remind you of? That is talented, but also,
Trying to what?
trying to
Fix the system.
yeah.
What club does that remind me of? I don't know. You tell me.
You mentioned Chelsea. You mentioned the referee. You know, you know,
Who now?
Barcelona.
Oh, UEFA Lona.
You were Barcelona.
Yes, of
That's
course.
what it reminds me of, where even at the peak of
That's actually a great, great point. Even at
yeah,
the peak of their powers, I don't know why I drew such a massive blank.
yeah.
But at the peak of their powers, payments, alleged payments, influence,
For aloe vera, they said they paid for
yeah,
aloe vera.
yeah, fans on Barcelona fans as refs, all that type of stuff. FA or Spanish FA making dubious um, awarding referees the ability to make to ref certain games when their affiliation is known. So a lot of that type of stuff definitely rampant in La Liga,
Yeah.
specifically at Barcelona.
For sure. But yeah, unfortunately, we'll see what comes off of um the whole calf debacle. But it was definitely very, very disappointing to see. But I mean, whatever happens, the streets knows who won. We know who won. The streets
Yeah,
know.
I
Um,
mean, yeah,
yeah, the
it
street.
can't. There's no case or appealing that we can do for the what they did to Ali's towel.
No.
They stole it, and all the witchcraft that they were doing, well, literally witchcraft, like in some cases. So God will find them.
The other, yeah.
No worry,
It'll work out at the end of the day, hopefully.
don't
But let's
worry.
close the show. Player of the week. Fede had a good game and scored a goal last, so actually over the weekend before City. So he continues the streak. He continues the streak of good games. Played okay against Man City, but it was worth a shout. Bruno was fantastic for Manchester United. He entered the 100 goals, 100 assist clubs. That only like what Giggs and somebody else, I forget who. I think he's very, very slim company, and obviously was fantastic again. But I mean, I mentioned his name today. Rafinha scored a hat trick against Sevilla over the weekend, then bagged 2 goals and a couple of assists to knock Newcastle out. I think um, personally was the outstanding player of the last week for me. I don't know if you have any other names you want to throw in the hat apart from that.
No, I mean,
Yeah, those.
as long as it wasn't a direct opponent,
Yeah,
it's okay. It's just a bad week of football for me, so I don't really have much to say.
yeah, but yeah,
You're
I
lucky.
think.
Y'all are lucky I'm even here. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, Rafinha was just outstanding. But goal of the week, Fede's goal was also great. Eze's goal was very good against against Leverkusen. The even the passing and then the volley obviously was top pins. And I almost was going to give it to Eze because I forgot for a split second. that Adagula scored from 75 meters
Yeah, it
away.
was easy. Easy goal, like,
That's probably one of the easiest goal of the weeks that we've had on the show in the what year that we've been doing the show. Adagula has been trying that for like 2 years. I think I remember vividly against Osasuna, there was a game. I think Vini scored twice in the game as well. We're leading like 4-1 away. And he came on and he tried it from like a little bit closer and he hit the bar. And he tried it again last season, I believe, off a kickoff. And just went right over the goal. So the fact that he scored this was it's not a mistake. It's just like how Cristiano had been trying to score a bicycle kick for years, and all of a sudden he couldn't stop scoring bicycle kicks. But Aragula was easy goal of the week. It may win Puskás, who knows? But congrats Aragula, goal of the week. Congrats Rafinha, player of the week. Upcoming fixtures. The two games that stand out for me this weekend is obviously the Carabao Cup final, Arsenal City, and Real Madrid. We're playing at home to Atletico Madrid, and again, obviously, City in bad form coming into this game. Obviously, I think they tied West Ham in the weekend, lost both legs to my dear Real Madrid, and of course, Real Madrid Atletico is always a tough game. Real Madrid are what 4 points behind Barcelona, so we can't afford to make any slip ups, and we need to win that game. So, who are you guys playing this weekend?
who cares? Let me check.
You guys are playing away at Everton this weekend.
Yeah, I think we have a City coming up too.
Yeah.
I looked at the schedule when we had about 13 games left. I circled the games that I knew we would need to win in order to be like a serious football club. And we've dropped points
Hmm.
in all those fixtures. So the season's not going to get any easier. It's the business end of the season. I think we have the last good result I saw for us in the league was obviously Aston Villa, but um, let me see here. I don't think it's. I think we have United to play. We've got
Yeah.
City to play.
Yeah.
Um, just doing the reverse. Just thinking about the teams we haven't. We have Liverpool to play. Um, so yeah, it's not gonna get
Not
any
getting
better, man.
easier. Yeah.
And I think Reese is supposed to be out for several weeks, a hamstring recurrence injury. Um, we'd really gotten used to him being a mainstay, but now who knows? Yeah, we've got Everton, and we've got City, then United, and then Brighton, who beat the brakes off of us last three times we played them, kicked us out of the FA Cup last year.
Mhm.
We got Forest, then we got Liverpool,
Forest
then
fighting
we
for
got
relegation. That would be tricky.
yeah, I'll be in London at that time. And then we got Spurs on the 17th, and then Sunderland down the season. So out of that list, I only feel good about Sunderland and Spurs, maybe.
Mm.
Everything else is
Up in the air.
70-30. I mean, maybe 60. Yes, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't back our team without Reese. Um, brings a lot. So
Mm. Yeah. We
we'll
shall
see how it plays out.
we shall see how it plays out. Time always tells. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. Per usual, please subscribe, like, and share in that order. Um, Hala Madrid. Hopefully we continue this form and finish the season with a couple silverware. And yeah, any last thing you wanna leave them with?
Yeah, up the Chelsea, Blue coat out.
Blue coat out. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. Please, again, we appreciate your support. Please, keep supporting, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Is Mike. Subscribe, follow for more.
What he said. Peace.